bring us all together. I remember when we were strong together. Wonder back then if we knew one day we fall together. How good and pleasant it is for brethren to dwell in unity. Through all the scrutiny, overcame, remain a community. Beauty to see, always anointed. It's like the precious ointment upon the head of Iran. No residue of Hermon that descended upon Mount Zion. Living blessings forevermore. It's about that time. Let's go.
Say, blessed is the nation that gathers. Until the mighty Yahweh as the people been scattered. Until our pride drop as the dude that ran down Aaron's beard. We Yahweh's weapon of war when all together we spears. Let's cry aloud. Exalt the Holy One in heaven. Return to his laws, statutes, and judgments. Our only message. We pay reverence to his sanctuary. Praise Yah at all times until his messengers will see eye to eye. Oh, how good.
How good, how good is it when all of us can dwell together in unity? How good is it when all of us can dwell together? Whoa, it's like the ointment upon the head that run down, even on Aaron's beard. It's like the ointment upon the head that run down the skirt of his garments. It's like the dew that descends from the hills of Mount Zion. The dew, unity forevermore. Unity is life forevermore. I remember that first day I walked into that brown building. I remember the first day, that's where I get my spiritual healing. I remember hearing David and the 12 tribes bringing fire. Who would have known it 10 years later I'd be singing higher? You got there at 3 o'clock and it was standing room only. My heart just leaves my soul because that building now so lonely. Members Zebulon and Absalom and Hezekiah, Emma Peora, Mother Mary, can't forget Tobiah. When 4 o'clock came, Moray Alicia at that top door. Brother Dan and Elder Dinah, my spirit getting fed more. But then we went and split that. I pray that we can get back the unity in Cincinnati, man. I swear I missed that. Come on, like how good is it when all of us can dwell together in unity? How good is it when all of us can dwell together? Whoa, it's like the ointment upon the head that run down, even on Aaron's beard. It's like the ointment upon the head that run down the skirt of his garments. It's like the dew that descends from the hills of Mount Zion. The dew, unity forevermore. Unity is life forevermore. Forevermore.
Why aren't you the landlord?
Need a break?
Shalom, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, giving all praise and honor to the Holy One of Israel, to the Creator of the heaven, the earth, the sea, and all that is there and is, by saying hallelujah. Praise the mighty Yah. Yah is righteous, Yah is holy, and let Yahweh be magnified. Once again, the Creator has allowed us to come before you another day, bringing to you his great, holy, and exalted words, even the words of truth. My name is Moray Ishaya Yisrael of the House of Israel, located right here in Cincinnati, Ohio, 2330 Kemper Lane, bringing to you nothing but the truth. And yes, all we're going to do is tell you the truth, for Yah ordained me to tell you the truth. And this is what I'm going to do. And who is this Yah? Yah is the creator of the heaven, the earth, the sea, and all that is therein is. Yah is the Elohim of our fathers, the Elohim of Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yisrael, whom you may know as Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Yah is our king. He's our judge. He is our lawgiver. And Yah is our only Savior, and not just of Israel. Yah is the Savior of the world. And I praise the mighty Yah for allowing me to come before you to bring to you his great, holy, and exalted words. Today we will be dealing with the book of Proverbs. The understanding of the book of Proverbs and how relevant it is to your increase in knowledge, the knowledge of Elohim, and to your everyday life. Little do people know these books was written with purpose as well as with meaning. And we're going to tell you the meaning of Proverbs. And we're going to give you the purpose of Proverbs. But the first thing I want you to know is what is written in the book of 1 Kings, the fourth chapter, dealing with Proverbs. That's 1 Kings, the 4th chapter. Yes, we went through, and we're going to bring them back, giving you an opportunity to read some things for yourself. The books of the law, the 5 books of Moses, the law of Moses. And as you're getting acclimated with the books, many people are just now receiving various copies. We send them copies out every day. And we want you to get acclimated with the books and study them. And we're going to study right along with you. Or you can study right along with us. But we can't stop there. Because there's other books that, as you will see, and as you will learn in the scriptures, here it is, people ask me about the book of Jubilees and the book of Enoch. The book of Jasher, as well as the Talmud, other books. These books, not only the Most High himself, Yahweh himself don't speak in, but Yahweh did not inspire anyone to write these books. And how do I know that? Because many of these books, all of them that I found, in some way, shape, or form, contradicts the Holy Scriptures. They will have something there present that goes against the word of Yahweh. That don't mean it don't have good things in the books, but it does mean they're not inspired by the Most High. But the book of Proverbs is inspired. And let me show you how I know for a fact that it's inspired. The book of Proverbs, the Hebrew word for Proverbs is Mashal. Of course, they translated Proverbs. But I'm going to show you the true meaning of Proverbs. But before I do that, in the book of 1 Kings, the 4th chapter, this is what it says in the 32nd verse. Let's start at 29. And Elohim gave Solomon wisdom and understanding exceedingly much, largeness of heart, even as the sand that is on the seashore. And Solomon's wisdom excelled the wisdom of all the children of the east country and all the wisdom of Egypt. For he was wiser than all men, than Etan the Ezrathite, Heman and Kakol, and Darda, the sons of Mahol. And his fame was in all nations round about. And he spoke 3,000 proverbs. 3,000. And his songs were 1,005. And his wisdom, of course, did not stop there. Watch what it says. That's why not only if you read the book of Proverbs, which is his writings, and also read the book of Ecclesiastes, which is his writings, but also the Songs of Solomon, which also are the writings of King Solomon. But further it says, and he spoke of trees, from the cedar tree that is in Lebanon, even to the hyssop that springs out of the wall. He spoke also of beasts, of fowl, of creeping things, and of fishes, sea creatures. Yeah, so Solomon was a very wise man. None wiser than him before him, none wiser after him. So, a man with this much wisdom, should not we stop and try to learn of his wisdom that he wrote? Sure, we should. The scriptures say, a wise man attained unto wise counsels. So if you see wisdom, you want to try to learn it. The scriptures say, buy the truth and sell it not. So you want to get as much wisdom as you can. And this is the wisdom of Proverbs. Proverbs 25. Let us go there. In the book of Proverbs 25, and you're going to learn something that you probably did not know. But watch what this says in the book of Proverbs 25 and 1. It says, these are also Proverbs of Solomon, which the men of Hezekiah, king of Yehuda, copied out. And it's only 3 things I've seen in the scriptures. Really only 2 things. But we're going to say 3 for the sake of argument. Excuse me. I may have a little cough, but everything is good. There's only 3 things that I've seen copied in the scriptures that's relevant to your salvation. Here, Hezekiah, king of Yehuda, as well as his men, they copied the Proverbs of Solomon. in particularly this particular chapter, they copied. And you want to read this Proverbs 25. Of course, you also know amongst the kings in Deuteronomy 17. So not only the kings copy Proverbs, but by law, they had to copy something else. And you'll read this in the book of Deuteronomy 17. And I can understand why the kings would even copy Proverbs after understanding what the book of Proverbs actually means. Deuteronomy 17, and we're going to read the 18th verse. And it shall be, when he sits upon the throne of his kingdom, talking about the king, that he shall write him a copy of this law in a book, out of that which is before the priests, the Levites. And it shall be with him, and he shall read therein all the days of his life, that he may learn to fear Yahweh his Elohim, to keep all the words of this law, these statutes, and to do them, that his heart is not lifted up above his brother, that he's turned not aside from the commandment to the right hand or to the left, to the end that he may prolong his days in his kingdom, he and his children in the midst of the children of Israel. So not only the kings copy the Proverbs of Solomon, but they was also instructed by law to make a copy of the book of the law. And the only other thing that I read is in the book of Joshua, the 8th chapter. Let us turn there. In the book of Joshua, the 8th chapter, and this is what it says in Joshua, the 8th chapter, the 30th verse. Then Joshua built an altar unto Yahweh Elohim of Israel on Mount Ebal, as Moses, the servant of Yahweh, commanded the children of Israel, as it is written in the book of the law of Moshe, an altar of hewn stones, over which no man has lifted up any iron. And they offered their own burnt offerings unto Yahweh, sacrifice peace offerings. And he wrote there upon the stones. Now, mind you, this is the altar that's made of whole stones. This is an altar over which no man had lifted up any iron. Watch what it says. And he wrote there upon the stones a copy of the law of Moshe, which he wrote in the presence of the children of Israel. So not only the copy of the law was written on an altar of stones, the kings had to make a copy of the law, and the kings also made a copy of Proverbs. And of course, it is also true that we put the law on our doorposts. But why Proverbs? Why make a copy of Proverbs? They could have told you to make a copy of any book other than the law. We can understand making a copy of the law, but why Proverbs? I thought Proverbs was just commentary. I thought the book of Proverbs was just a some wise sayings by a wise man, but it was nothing that we ourselves should be concerning ourselves with in terms of making a copy. Of course, the kings did. And if it's good for the kings, why wouldn't it be good for us? Well, that's because the word Mashal, the Hebrew word Mashal, which they translate Proverbs, actually means to rule, to have dominion, to have power. So what do it mean to rule and to have power? To be supreme in thought. In other words, the book of Proverbs teach you how to rule. Rather, you are ruling a people such as Solomon and the kings did, Hezekiah. Rather, you're ruling your own spirit. Rather, you're ruling your own appetite. Rather, you're ruling whatever it might be. These precepts in Proverbs give you the wisdom as well as the understanding to be a ruler. And our people don't know Proverbs like they should. And they don't know, they see these Proverbs as individual things without understanding that this is the thing that is going to help you to become ruler in dominion over self. And let me show you what I mean. First of all, go to the book of Proverbs, the 6th chapter. And this is what I found in studying Proverbs. Just like I did in studying the other books. No coincidence. Not some trick. But I found 12 things. 12 precepts that will help you to become the greatest ruler that you can be if you understand these 12 things, these 12 precepts. And of course, if you do them. Now imagine the very first precept that we're going to see. We're talking about the book of Proverbs. It comes from the Hebrew word Mashal. It means to rule and have dominion. The Almighty told man, when he made man, he said, I made you after my image and I made you after my likeness to have dominion over the earth and the fish of the sea and the fowl of the air. We're supposed to be a people that know how to rule. But you just can't rule other people. You got to learn how to rule yourself. You got to learn how to rule your children. You have to learn how to rule your wives. You have to learn how to rule your appetite, your emotions, your feelings. That's what Proverbs teach. Watch this. The very first 12 precepts. Now watch this. Proverbs 6. This is the very first one that I seen. And this is what it says in the 6th and 7th verse. Go to the ant, you sluggard. Consider her ways and be wise. Most people see ants, and the first thing that come to their mind, that come to their consideration, is where's the bug spray? They're not considering and watching and looking at what the ant really is doing. But let's continue reading. And what do the Most High want you to consider? When you consider the ant, and you consider her ways, which having no guide, nobody had to guide them, no overseer, nobody had to stand over them to make sure they're doing their work, or ruler, nobody has to rule them. That provides her meat in the summer and gathers her food in the harvest. In other words, an ant knows its purpose. It knows its purpose. And so it works to fulfill its purpose. Just think if we consider that, then we will fulfill our purpose. We will fulfill our purpose as a husband, as a father, as a man, and everything else will fulfill their purpose. If we consider the ways of the ant, one of the smallest things that your eye can see. A lot of times your eye can't even see nothing smaller. Number 2, let me show you something else that Proverbs will teach you. Because the Proverbs is teaching you how to rule. So nobody should have to stand over you and say, man, do this, do that, do this, do that. But as you all know, if you don't do that, certain things just ain't going to get done. Nobody should have to guide you through everything in life. At some point in time, you're going to have to flap your own wings. And yes, you will fall. Yes, you might get hurt. But you're going to learn. You're going to grow. And you're going to be self-sufficient and self-reliant. And who needs a taskmaster, an overseer, but a slave? And really a slave don't. But you think he do. Proverbs 12. And we're going to try to get to these 12 things. Number 2. In the book of Proverbs 12, watch this. And we're going to read the 24th verse. And I may add, just hold your page at Proverbs 12. But I want to emphasize something in Proverbs 6 that I will emphasize through all 12 precepts. When it says in Proverbs 6, verse 7, which I have no guide, overseer, or Mashal, ruler. There's no ruler you have to worry about. Likewise, in Proverbs 12, which is the Hebrew word for proverb. In Proverbs 12, the 24th verse, it says, the hand of the diligent shall bear rule. If your hands are diligent, not your mouth, because a lot of people, they just running off at the mouth. But they're not doing nothing. They're not working at all. But the hand of the diligent shall bear rule. Because when you're diligent, you don't have time for foolishness. But the slothful shall be under tribute. In other words, they always under somebody else's authority. Somebody always got to tell them what to do. Somebody always got to guide them. But not so with the hand of the diligent. They know their purpose, and they know things have to be done every single day. And some people raising the slothful that will one day be under somebody else's thumb. Number 3, Proverbs 16. Because all the Proverbs, when you start from the first verse of the first chapter, who understand the proverb? The dark sayings. If you understand this, you would understand that this book is really teaching you how to have dominion, starting first with yourself. Watch what this is. Proverbs 16. And we're going to read the 32nd verse. He that is slow to anger is better than the mighty. And you know who the mighty is. But you slow to anger, you better than the mighty. And he that rules his spirit than he that takes a city. And a lot of us just get caught up in emotions. We get angry quick. We get mad. We hear things, and then all of a sudden, we're messed up. Things happen. We're messed up. And it's only because we had not learned to control self. And that's what Proverbs will teach you. How to have dominion. How to control things. Not just yourself, but the people that might be under you. The spirits, the people that might look up to you. But if you have no control, we're going to see what happens when you don't have control. And we as a people, we need self-control. That's why I just start studying the ant. Start there. Why start there? Because an ant don't have to worry about no guide, overseer, or ruler. In other words, it already know its purpose. And this is what you got to learn, your purpose. While you striving with other people, what are you striving with other people for? When you yourself have a purpose that you got to concern yourself with every day. You wasting time striving with somebody else. And you have purpose. Is that your purpose, to strive with people? Well, that's why the third thing is, he that is slow to anger is better than the mighty. And if you want to be mighty, you would think everybody want to be mighty. But in truth, everybody don't want to be mighty. Number 4, Proverbs 17. Talking about the book of Proverbs, its meaning, its purpose, and how relevant it is to you. The kings thought it was so relevant that they would make it their own copy from the 3,000 Proverbs of Solomon, what pertained to them. In the book of Proverbs 17, watch what it says. Verse 2, a wise servant shall have rule over a son that causes shame, and shall have part of the inheritance among the brothers. Y'all understand what this is saying? In other words, you might have your sons, right? But your son may cause shame. But then you have a servant who demonstrating wisdom, almost as if this servant is your son. But your son, he causes shame. And wisdom would teach you that why would I leave an inheritance solely to someone that causes shame? I need to get part of this inheritance to my wise servant. Why? Because he will do some good with it. He will make some good out of it. And there's a great chance my name will live on in not infamy, but in righteousness. And why? Because he's a wise servant. And he will have rule over a son that causes shame. It happens all the time. Because oftentimes people, especially children, but not just children, it's not limited to them. There are people that's in your family that think that you're supposed to do what you do. In other words, it's like they inherited things that they really didn't inherit. You're supposed to do this for me. You're supposed to give me that. You're supposed to this. You're supposed to that. And they take for granted gifts and life issues that you might give them. But then you have someone that's not connected to the family in that blood way, and they will appreciate everything they get. But why don't your own children appreciate it? Is it your fault? Or is it their fault? Well, it looks here that it might be possible. That is your fault. And why? And not all the time, though, your fault. But you have to learn how to rule. And we're going to, as we go down to continue number, you'll see where it is a possibility it's your fault. And where are we? That was number 4. Number 5. Proverbs 19. Still dealing with why was it so important, necessary for the kings to write a copy of the Proverbs that Solomon spoke. Well, they knew this was a prescription to learn how to rule, to have dominion. And we're supposed to have dominion over the earth. And how can you have dominion over anything and you don't even have dominion over yourself? And the mass majority of people, they don't have dominion over themselves. And having learned how to gain the wisdom and the understanding to execute that, to understand that, to do it. That's why when you read the book of Proverbs, the first thing it asks, let me just show you this. We're going to go back to this Proverbs 19, but hold your page there. Watch what it says in the book of the first chapter of Proverbs. It says in the very first verse, the Proverbs of Solomon, the son of David, king of Israel, to know wisdom and instruction, to perceive the words of understanding, to receive the instruction of wisdom, justice, and judgment and equity, to give subtlety to the simple, and to the young man knowledge and discretion. Watch the 6th verse. To understand a proverb, the interpretation, the words of the wise, and their dark sayings. To understand this, you got to learn how to have rulership. And sometimes we tell people about, look, you got to control self. They tell them, but he's doing this, she's doing that, they doing this. And I tell people in counsel all the time, what you worried about them for? You can't control them. You got to learn how to control yourself. But they think that's just words. That's just coming out of my mouth. But only if they understood what I really am saying, that once you're able to control self, then you become one of the mighty men, the mighty persons. You don't understand the value of having self-control. And that's what Proverbs teach. How to have dominion, period. Not just of self, but of others. You can even be a servant, as we just read, and you'll rule the son. That causes shame. Proverbs 19. And watch what it says. The 10th verse. Delight is not seemly for a fool, much less for a servant to have rule over princes. Here it is. We just read that a wise servant shall rule a son that causes shame. But the only way that can happen, that's not the way it's supposed to be. That happens because, one, you got a wise servant. But number two, you got a son that causes shame. And that's the problem. It's just like women. Women, they might have a husband, and then you have some other women out there that don't have a husband, and then the woman that got the husband causes shame. It ain't rocket science. Some of y'all women know that y'all married and y'all cause it shame. The husband try to let you know, but you're not listening. And you got a woman that shows wisdom. And then you wonder why they pay attention to somebody else. It's just like the son that causes shame, but a servant that is wise. Surely he's going to get part of that inheritance. But that's not how it's supposed to be. How it's supposed to be, here it is in the 10th verse, delight is not seemly for a fool. In other words, you won't, it looks crazy. It don't even look right when a fool try to do something real good. You might be happy, but at the end of the day, delight is not seemly for a fool. Much less for a servant to have rule, Mashal, dominion over princes. That is totally backwards. That's not how it's supposed to be. Here it is, when you born into this, born a prince to a king, there are certain protocols that you learn because you're a prince. There's a way that you're raised because you are a prince. And there are certain responsibilities that you will have that others won't because you are a prince. Unlike a servant that raised a whole nother type of way. They're raised to wait on other people. That's not how a prince is raised. So oftentimes we have things backwards. And what number are we on? Number 6. Watch what it says. Proverbs 22. The 7th verse. It says, the rich rules over the poor, and the borrower is servant to the lender. So it don't take a rocket scientist to understand this. The rich rules over the poor. He got money. He can do things. He can tell the poor, look, run to the store and get me this. And the poor going to do it because he can pay him. Clean my room. Wash my floor. Wash my car. See, he can do that because he got the money. This is how the rich rules over the poor. He can have him do just about anything because he has the riches. But just like that, the borrower is servant to the lender. So if you're borrowing all the time, rest assured, the lender is going to rule over you. So be careful in who you're borrowing from, because you will become their servant. And you definitely don't want to borrow all the time. Number 7. Proverbs 23. And this is something you want to really take note. Watch what it says. And what are we talking about? The book of Proverbs. Mashal. This book is dedicated to kings. Well, not just kings, but people who really want to learn how to rule, to have dominion first over themselves. And what's this type of ruler? In the book of Proverbs 23:1. When you sit to eat with a ruler, consider diligently what is before you, and put a knife to your throat if you are a man given to appetite. Be not desirous of his dainties, for they are deceitful bread. In other words, you got to learn how to control your appetite. Many people are sick today just because they can't control their appetite. Because they don't have control over their spirits. They don't have dominion over themselves. So somebody can make you taste something that you don't want to taste. Here it is. I remember, I don't know if they still do it because I'm not in the malls often, but there was a time where you walk in the malls, a lot of the Chinese and Korean stores, they have a little piece of meat on a stick, and they say, want to sample? Want to sample? And man, I would see people flocking to these samples. Like they never sampled meat before. I know how meat tastes. I know how chicken tastes. I know how beef tastes. So why I need to sample their meats, their foods? And this was just a trick. And many of these people never had control over their self, over their appetite. They didn't know if they was eating chicken, rat, bat, cat, because a lot of these things the Chinese people served. But you don't know what you ate because you have no control. All they did was put some spices and soy sauce on it and fixed it up, dressed it up, and all they was trying to do is make money off of you. But if you can't control your appetite, then you definitely don't have control over yourself. And you don't have control over your spirit. So how can your hand be diligent? This is how you have dominion. This is how you learn how to rule. Number 8. Proverbs 25. Watch what it says. The 28th verse. He that has no rule over his own spirit, and many don't, is like a city that is broken down and without walls. In other words, anything can attack you. Anything. And anything will attack you. You can hear something, you're mad. You can see something, you're mad. In other words, you don't need to know the whole truth. But now you're mad because you've been attacked by your ears. You're being attacked by what you see. You're being attacked just how you feel. You're being attacked because somebody touched this, left that. In other words, you have no control. So everything around you is irritating. Everything around you makes you mad. Everything around you, even when there's nothing around you, you're still mad. Because it's too silent. I never do nothing. I never go nowhere. We never do nothing. In other words, nothing can make you happy because you have no self-control. You're a spirit. You're like a city that is broken down without walls. And that's no way to be. When you don't have self-control, that's exactly how it is. Number 9. Proverbs 28. Let's see what it says. Mashal. Proverbs. How to rule, how to have dominion, not just of others, but yourself. Your emotions, your heart, your mind, your spirit, your soul. It don't matter where you turn, you want to have self-control. Proverbs 28. And this is what it says in the 15th verse. As a roaring lion and a raging bear, so is a wicked ruler over the poor people. Yeah, in other words, when you're a wicked ruler, there's many things, many signs that can tell us about your authority. And one of the greatest signs is, let us talk to the people and let's see what they think. You might have one out of a many, one out of the bunch say, look, the way you rule is not good. And I'm not happy. But then you start asking everybody else, they love you. But not so with the wicked. With the wicked, they're like a roaring lion and a raging bear. Nobody likes the rulership of the wicked. Because they will do things that is totally opposite of righteous rule. And how do I know that? The very next Proverbs. Proverbs 29. Watch what it says. In the second verse, which is number 10. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. And that's what happens. You don't have a bunch of drama. You don't have a bunch of foolishness. You don't have a bunch of chaos when the righteous are in authority. The people rejoice. But when the wicked bear rule, the people mourn. Nobody's happy. Everybody mad. Everybody depressed. Like in America today. That's how you know these people are not the righteous. Because as you can see, the people are in constant and consistent state of mourning. Because they don't see no justice. They don't see no peace. They don't see no judgment. And consequently, they don't see righteousness. And now the people mourn. Well, who you think rules? The wicked. And Yahweh have already told you the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. If not, where is he? In other words, where's the judges? If the wicked has not been, where's the good judges, the righteous authority? Where are they? If it's not given into the hand of the wicked. This same Proverbs 29, the 11th precept, watch this, the 12th verse. If a ruler listen to lies, all his servants are wicked. In other words, again, a ruler, somebody has dominion, Mashal, they got to have self-control. You got to, even if you hear things, you got to be able to establish the thing. No matter what you're hearing, no matter what you're seeing, it still got to be established. But a ruler, if a ruler listens to lies, then all his servants is going to be wicked because they know the way to get to the ruler. You just lie. And you listen to him anyway, so I might as well lie to get what I want. I'll pay you back, but I don't. Let me go make this quick run, but it ain't quick. In other words, I just lie, and you listen to it. The wicked, the servants are wicked. And why? Because you listen to lies. You have strengthened the hands of evildoers. And you can't be that type of ruler. That's not how you have dominion. Likewise, in this book of Proverbs, the 29th chapter, this is what it says, and this is the 12th thing. And this 12th precept is probably my most favorite precept of the precepts to understand how to rule. Proverbs 29 and 26 says, many seek the ruler's favor, but every man's judgments come from Yahweh. Here it is. You concern yourself with the ruler. For what? That ain't where judgment's going to come from anyway. And you caught up in the wrong one, the wrong ruler, the wrong person, the wrong thing. Mad at him, mad at her, mad at them. And that's not where judgment comes from anyway. It comes from Yahweh. And you trying to please them, and when they ain't pleased, then you mad. You think they wrong. Well, I ain't doing this no more. Well, you should have been trying to please Yahweh anyway. Because if you just tried to please Yahweh, should not that be enough to please anyone else? And if that's not enough to please anyone else, then what can you do anyway? You did your best to please Yahweh. And if they're not pleased with that, they're not worthy to be pleased anyway. Your judgment don't come from them. It comes from Yahweh. And in the end, while you messing around with them, you yourself are being judged. When, my beautiful brothers and sisters, when are you going to learn self-control? When will you learn to have dominion over self? Because if you don't learn to become Mashal, which just simply means to rule, to have dominion, to have power within yourself that nobody else can take from you, because they don't control you anyway. You can be a servant, but you still have the power to control self. Only then can you really fulfill the commandments of Yahweh. This is what Solomon wants you to know. This is the reason why Proverbs exist. It's to help you to be able to control your own destiny. The book of Proverbs. So not only we bringing you the book of the law, but we will bring these other books so that you can become a better you. So until tomorrow, Yahweh love you, and so do I. Shalom.
Save me, Father, won't you? Save me, standing with my hands spread wide and pride aside, 'cause I know now only I.
Y'all the one that breaks down, Yahweh the one that builds. Y'all the one that makes sick, Yahweh the one that heals. Y'all will pull us from Sheol so his servant can live. We're protected by his order, every word he spoke our shield. He's the one that goes before us in the battlefield. We his wife and sons and daughters, service in Israel. He give men for our lives, strength to those who trust in him. He show of us his word, the nation drop in the bucket, man. No need to trust a man to make flesh our arm, 'cause Yahweh know the heart, so who's crying out, restore. Only a small number, the remnant remain calm, while the nations panic quickly, be faster for holy law. Y'all the one that saved us, not because of all our flaws. When the nation's seeking help, his righteousness get involved. All we have to do is walk humble before our Yah. Y'all been giving us the number, just waiting for us to call on Yah.
Oh, my Yah. Oh, I need you to save me. Oh, she me. Please, Yahweh, save me. Elohim. Yahweh, save me. Oh, show